Cleo from 5 to 7 was released in 1962 and is about Cleo, a young singer who spends her evening wandering around Paris waiting on her cancer test results. Now, this movie is written and directed by Agnes Varda, and is probably her most popular movie she ever made. And it's one of those movies that I've seen just recommended just across the boards as a must-watch, so it's been on my watch list for a couple of years now, and I've really been wanting to get to it, and finally did. Now, I have actually seen 2 of Agnes Varda's documentaries. This is the first narrative film from Varda that I've seen of hers. So, before this, I've actually been more familiar with who Varda is as a person rather than her actual filmmaking. One thing that is obvious is Varda's documentarian style translates really well into this movie. Paris basically becomes its own character as we see Cleo wander throughout it. Varda takes you on a tour through Paris as Cleo is having this crisis. You can really see the amount of love that Varda has for the city. Cleo is trying to kill time and take her mind off of the possibility of having cancer, so that she distracts herself with the city and the people in it, and Varda's style really makes it come alive. And Varda basically puts Paris in a time capsule. So it's a movie that if you're simply just interested in watching a movie to see what 1960s Paris looked like, this is the perfect movie for that. The story is strong enough on its own, but its setting is captured so well that you feel like you're in the main character's shoes. Now, Cleo is played by Corinne Marchand, and is luckily the best performance in the movie. Cleo is a rising pop star that has released a couple hit singles. People know her by her name, but aren't completely familiar with how she looks quite yet. She hasn't reached that amount of fame yet. She does come across as spoiled and self-absorbed. She is incredibly proud of her looks and thinks that that puts her above most people. And on the flip side of that, she is basically a hypochondriac because she fears an illness will ruin her looks and talents. So the possibility of her having cancer is throwing her into an existential crisis, which she has to fight with and basically walk herself back from sinking into depression throughout the movie. And while she is somewhat self-absorbed, she also shows that she is talented enough to kind of earn her ego. Now, I did really like the way that Varda wrote her characters in this movie, especially Cleo. Some of her tendencies are unlikable, but she is also relatable and grounded in reality. She is seen as an object by most of the men in her life. They disregard her concerns, talk to her just to hear themselves talk, and say they give her everything they can. And in a great line, her rebuttal to this is that everybody spoils me, but nobody loves me, giving a real insight into her and the way she's treated. The characters are really well written, and Varda's direction complements them incredibly well. Whenever Cleo is outside, Varda makes sure that the backdrop is almost always in frame. One shot in particular I really like is when Cleo is trying on hats. The shot is from outside the window of the shop, so while Cleo is in the focus of the shot, you can also still see the bustling street in front of her. You feel like you are along for the ride the entire time. The movie takes place in real time, hence the title. Cleo from 5 to 7 takes place from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And the movie is divided up into little chapters that indicate the interactions that she has with other characters. And these interactions are really entertaining. You see kind of different aspects of Cleo's personality expressed through her interactions with different people, which is a really cool exploration of this character. Marchand also brings an incredibly nuanced performance to this character, making her insanely watchable. Like I said before, while she is a pop singer, there is one scene in particular that I really liked where it showed that she does have talent for more dramatic singing, and that is done incredibly well and is probably the point of the movie that really sold this movie for me. That in that aspect I really enjoyed. She is probably one of my favorite movie protagonists from this era, film in particular. I think this movie is incredibly well written and acted and directed. Varda's style meshes perfectly with the main character in this story, and at only an hour and a half long, this is a short and kind of easy watch, and it was just delightful to watch the entire time for me. The heavier concept of existentialism is balanced really well with the lighter airiness of Cleo's personality and mindset. I honestly can't think of any way this movie could be improved. Varda does exactly what she intends to, and every part of this movie works for me, and it's incredibly entertaining. And this made me more excited to see more of Varda's narrative films. This is probably one of, if not my favorite movie from the French New Wave era of film. So I'm going to be rating Cleo from 5 to 7, a 10 out of 10. I highly recommend this movie. It's a really easy watch, and it's intensely likable. I think that if you're wanting to get into movies, especially French movies or French New Wave, this is a great starting point for that. And like I said, I highly recommend this movie. Now, have you guys seen the movie? What did you think of it? What's your favorite Agnes Varda movie or documentary? Let me know, and I'll be back with another video.